Hi there, and thanks for joining us on this great opportunity to tell you more about children and getting fit. Nowadays, more and more children are suffering with obesity and overweight issues that not only affect them now in their childhood, but later on in life. Whether it's bicycling, hockey, golf, or even soccer, more and more activities are geared towards children and adults alike in getting them physically fit. 30 minutes to 40 minutes a day is all it takes for a child to be fit and to counteract the side effects that we're seeing more and more of today in issues that are happening later in life. I want you to take a few minutes just to watch this first little video about staying fit.
Senza punta l'ago non può andare, troppo filo te l'ha fatto fare ed ora non puoi più filare. Hai filato giorno e notte con giacchette e pantaloni, sotto vesti e gonnelloni, una sera.
Well, that's kind of an old quirky commercial that we've seen many times if we're from the older generation. But for nowadays, children and physical fitness issues are becoming more and more prevalent. Diabetes, high blood pressure, and obesity are the three major areas that are affecting children today. Not only are they affecting children specifically, but over time it affects their well-being, it affects their physical, emotional state. It affects family life, quality of family life. And more we're seeing these issues go from childhood into adulthood. How do we get around it? How do we stop? How do we break the cycle in order for these issues to be changed? Well, the first thing I want to look at is the caloric balance, or what we take in is what needs to go out of our bodies and through our systems as well. If we sit and eat all day and don't even get up off the couch, then obviously we're going to put weight on. So we're not going to be physically fit. We're going to become obese. One of the great tools that we see that's been provided for us is the Canada Food Guide. I have a copy of that for you here. Canada Food Guide was published years ago. This one, I believe, was put out in the early 80s, stating a healthy choice of what needs to go into our bodies each and every day. Not only healthy choices that we can see, but proportions. We can see that through grain products, fruits and vegetables, milk products, and meats and alternatives, the good choices that we can make in order to live a healthy lifestyle. But you say, well, I can eat fruits and vegetables, I can eat meat and grain products all day long and still be obese or still be overweight. And yes, you are correct. That's why they've also provided for us proportions, serving sizes. Okay? We have the opportunity that depending on our age, depending on our sex, depending on even other health issues that we may suffer in our life or have in our life, we have proportions or serving sizes of what is suggested. Now, with anything, it's advised that you get a doctor's reference, a medical reference, because if you do have any other health issues, you need to look at that specifically because you don't want to do anything that's going to hinder or cause any more problems. But serving sizes, grains, 5 to 12, fruits and vegetables, 5 to 10, milk products, again, depending on your age. If you're a child, you need 2 to 3 servings. If you're a youth, you need 3 to 4 servings. If you're an adult, you need 2 to 4 servings. But even pregnant and breastfeeding women need 3 to 4 servings as well. So this is a great tool that they've given to us in order for us to get on track And hopefully when we get on track, to be able to stay on track. So to, again, break that cycle of obesity. Well, not only with this, but they've also provided us with what is a caloric balance table. And I have a copy of this here as well for everyone. Caloric balance table basically states what we bring in, we have to work off. So for instance, if we eat a steak dinner, so which we all love to enjoy now and again, you know, potatoes, vegetables, a nice piece of steak, maybe a dinner roll, that sort of thing. What goes into our body, the number of calories in that meal, also needs to go back out. So this chart breaks it down from children to females and males with ages and what the suggested caloric intake of each day should be. Again, I say what comes in needs to be burnt, needs to go out. So for instance, a child between the ages of 2 and 3, suggested, if they're not a highly active child, 1,000 calories per day. If they are a very active child, and hopefully most children are, the whole purpose of this little seminar is to make you aware and that we can go home and we can teach our children, teach our neighbors, teach our grandchildren about the importance of being active. So again, a child 2 to 3 years old, if they are active, we see here that they need to burn between 1,000 and 1,400 calories in a day. Just randomly, a female, ages 31 to 50, suggested is 1,800 calories. If they are very active, then they need to be consuming 2,200 calories. And for males 51 plus, approximately 2,000 calories if they're mildly active, and 2,400 to 2,800 calories for a highly active adult male over the age of 51. So these tools are used for us in order for us to be active, to be healthy. And within these, we see that the obesity rate hopefully will come down. The obesity rate will stop once we get ourselves and once we get our children active. Because that's one of the major key things is that if we don't set the example, if we don't show our children, show the future coming in what needs to be done in order to be successful in life, then they're not going to know. So we need to set that example for them. One of the other areas that's a concern with children and fitness and getting active is the idea of high blood pressure, so hypertension. Hypertension is not grandma's disease anymore. And more often we think of high blood pressure or hypertension in elderly people, in seniors, because we think it's an old age illness. But unfortunately, when a child who is not physically active is maybe, coming home from school where they've sat at a desk all day to come home and sit on the couch and play video games and not getting out into the world, into the fresh air, then they may suffer from high blood pressure. High blood pressure also has a big issue and a big effect on what we consume and what we eat. Again, links us back to the Canada's Food Guide. If we eat a diet of strictly carbs or high sugar, high salt, then it's going to affect our internal organs. It's going to affect our insides and not allow them to function to the best ability that we were created to function at. And again, I say everybody is built differently, everybody is different, and to seek medical advice if you want to make some huge changes in your diet, in the program, in the way you live your life. But in children, we are seeing that high blood pressure is becoming more and more prevalent. So because children are not getting active. So children are not getting up like we used to as kids, first thing in the morning, putting our play clothes on, going outside and playing until the street lights came on, and that's when you knew that you had to be home for either dinner or that you had to be home for bed. I know life has changed, the world has changed as we've grown up through the decades. And depending on where you live, it may not be safe for your children to go out and play by themselves. I know myself, we've just recently moved, and we're in the bush in Sunridge now, and we absolutely love it. And the only concern that I have with my children, who aren't really little anymore, but when they do go out to play or ride their bikes or go for a run, that sort of thing, is the wildlife. So that's about the only concern we have up here. You really got to pick your time of day and your season, depending on what's moving about. So whether it be bears or moose or that sort of thing. So, but get active, get moving, get your child up, because that's the biggest concern. The last area of concern that I just want to touch base on today, while you're here with me, is diabetes. Diabetes is on the rise, and unfortunately more and more children are going to the doctors because they're not necessarily physically active, and they are being diagnosed with either type 1 or type 2, which is more common, diabetes. Diabetes is an insulin deficiency in the body. As food goes in, it breaks it down. And when somebody says, well, you have now to have diabetes, the insulin's not breaking down properly in your body for it to produce what it needs to produce. So I just have another little short clip here about insulin and about diabetes for you to watch. And then we'll come back together and we'll just do a little recap.